mustard seed art company, which stages serious plays in English and in English. She highlights a lot of social issues through her theatre. She's going to speak about theatre as in literature and in performance. So I give the stage now to Isabel Vas.
Very good evening, friends. I'm grateful to you for having us here. I thank you, faculty and students, for giving me the opportunity to make a case for a very neglected form of writing, and that is theatre. Writing for theatre. You can say that I stumbled upon theatre. I come from a background of English literature, and what I studied was the written text. And then somewhere along the line, literally, I stumbled on the performance text. And for the last 24 years, I have had this passionate relationship with theatre, and together with my profession as a teacher, theatre, I think, has given me some of the best moments of my life. So I'll quickly give you an idea of what theatre is to me and the group that I belong to, and then I'll read out for you something on theatre. How do we work? I've entitled my presentation Theatre, Literature and Performance. For our BA and MA courses, we read Shakespeare. We read the Greek writers, to some extent the Roman writers. We have a whole lot of French and German, Indian playwrights emerging. And if you remain within the confines of a classroom, you never really discover the tremendous energy and the kick that being on stage gives you. And so, I was lucky to literally stumble upon something, a group of amateurs. We started doing a play and then we said to ourselves, hey, this is nice. And when this play is over, what will be of us? And we said, we can't allow this to die. And we went and we registered ourselves as a theatre group. And we call ourselves the Mustard Seed Art Company. What the title means? It means different things to different people. A seed, as you know, contains life. It contains a forest. To many of us, it's a symbol of life and faith. Faith in oneself, in art, in the people you work with, in the universe. And so, to many of us, theatre is hypnotic. And I've taken the statue of Abbe Faria as an indication of what theatre is to me, partly because one of our plays was written on him, and the play was called Kator Rebaji. There are a number of plays that we have done. Can you keep speaking? For the last 24 years now, we have been doing 2 plays a year. We began with All My Sons, a play by an American playwright, Arthur Miller. And within a year or two, we discovered that there were no scripts that really charmed us. And then we started writing our own. The first one was called A Leaf in the Wind. I write, but some of my colleagues write as well. A Slice of the Moon, Who Killed the Ministers. These are plays written by other members of the group. We write about many things. People ask us whether we are social activists. No, we are not. They ask us whether we do art for art's sake. Difficult to answer. We do theatre. We like to experiment. The Valley of Brightness was an adaptation of a novel. The Peacock Has Gone for a Walk was a mime. A Harvest of Gold was a play that we did on the exploitation of land in Goa and the exploitation of the Kundi community. Oliver was a musical that we took from Charles Dickens and we did in song and dance. Tara was Mahesh Dattani's play done by us. My Name is Goa was a full play in mime. We tried to do the whole history of Goa through mime and narration. And so, there we are. We are still at it. And the play that we are working on, we have just started working on it, is called Rabindra Babu at the Post Office. This is the centenary year of the great Rabindranath Tagore. And so, we can't avoid doing a play about him. I have a portrait of Tagore in my room. And for the last 10 years, Tagore has been telling me, you are going to write about me. And so this year I said, yes. And here we are. The title is a little bit of a play on Tagore's own play, The Post Office. But ours is a realistic play. It's about this man and the loneliness of being that kind of a figure in the year 1904 when you were staring at the first partition of Bengal and you were not interested in politics as such, but you were interested in culture and education. And so there we are. The plays are what brings us together twice a year. We practice in a classroom in some school, thanks to the generosity of the administrators of the school. They give us a space. We continue to be amateur, we continue to be very small, but life is quite dramatic and interesting for us. Written in the Wind is what I have called this presentation actually, and it was a small performance that we did with music, song and narration. Little Big Trees was a children's play. Of Mice and Men, one of the most wonderful plays I have read by John Steinbeck, and we happen to have a fantastic cast for that. So I think that was one of our best plays. Written on the Wind is a phrase that in a way shows you how we work. These are members of the group. At one point, the government of Goa decided that they would enlarge, broaden the Panjim Miramar road, and they thought that they would chop down 37 old rain trees. And a whole lot of people got together and said, hello, we say no. And we were part of this little movement. And so we performed something. And this is how but it's fun. And it's demanding, and it's an exacting form as well. Theatre is community. And what I've discovered is that theatre is perhaps the most collaborative of all the arts. Not only do we have the written word, we have performance as a text. And therefore both these bring together a whole community of people. We have the playwright, we have the director, we have the actor, we have the audience, we have the technicians, we have the makeup man, the costume designer, the set designer. And at the end of 24 years, I tell you, the people that we call members of the Mustard Seed Art Company, we are a family. And we've got a logo, and we say to ourselves, once a mustard seed, always a mustard seed. We fight. Twice a year we fight. But twice a year we perform. And wherever we may be, and life takes our friends all over the world, when people come back to Goa, never do they stay away. They always come and say, hi, how's it going? They don't remain actors. We have divers and pilots and writers and doctors and wildlife experts. So what has theatre given them? It's given them something nameless and intangible. I will not dare put a word on it. Recollect, we say, just before we perform, and that is theatre language for good luck. And here we are on our way to Bangalore a number of years back. And if you take the next slide, you will see what we went for. In some national paper, I found this photograph of a sculptor in Bangalore who had got a few people together, children mostly, and he had built this huge statue of a girl dancing on one foot. This man, John Devraj, fascinated me because he worked with the community. So from somewhere I got his name and address and I wrote to him. He never replied. But then when he came to Goa, he came and looked me up. And he said, I got your letter. And he said, now too late. We've already taken your idea and we are doing a play that we are calling The Dancing Statue. And we took the inspiration from that statue, that's only a copy of it, but if you go to Bangalore, in the middle of a lake, there is this little girl dancing on one foot. And we borrowed it and we wrote our own play on communal harmony. Next one. We sow seeds. We call ourselves the mustard seed. What kind of seeds do we sow? I think we sow seeds of openness, of opportunity, of challenge, of freedom, of exploration, of space. And people take these seeds and do with them what they wish. Next one. A Harvest of Coal was one of the plays that we did. It's quite some years back now. And already at that time, when people were not talking about the exploitation of land in Goa, we felt it in our gut. And a play came out of it. This is the play that we did, something that we took just 2 days to put together. This was about the trees in Kampa. Bulldoze the tree for the good of the city. The trees were not cut, by the way, not thanks to us, but thanks to everybody, artists from various walks of life who came and said no. Once we were, this is actually as part of my college work, we had no space in college to rehearse, so we went into a garden, a public garden, and we were rehearsing there. And people from the neighboring buildings who watched us came down and said, "What are you doing?" So we said, "We've been doing this play. What's it about?" We said, "It's about conflict." And this person sat and watched us. And she said, "You know, there are lots of conflicts in our building society. Do you mind doing this play in this garden? And a few of us would like to come and sit together and discuss our own issues," which is what happened. So theatre is also a means for community building. And the lady who is sitting there is a pediatrician and a child, what should I say, a consultant in family and child welfare. That's right. Okay, these are pictures from a play that we wrote on Abe Faria. The name of the play is Katore Baji. The title is in Konkani, the play is in English. You might ask, what gives us the kickstart? How do we start? What do we write about? All kinds of things. It could be an exciting character that grabs us. It could be a theme that's of interest to us. It could be an event. It could be an image. And I think that perhaps our next play might be inspired by that central image that I can't get out of my system. A building site in Santines, two children were playing, and the rubble collapsed on the child. They rescued him, took him to hospital, but the child died. And here is the child's sister consoling her father. Where did this tragedy begin? We know where it ended. That picture doesn't give me peace. So sooner or later, I think I might have to write a play about it. Our plays are written on the wind. The phrase is not mine. It comes from Peter Brook. And it means something like this, that you may write, but when you perform, each performance is unique and different. The actor is alive, the audience is alive, the chemistry is something that you cannot encapsulate. It's written on the wind. The phrase fascinates me. And the audience. Of course, you cannot have a play without an audience. But truth to tell, I must confess that we once performed for 3 people. And one of those 3 was the father of one of our actors. But it doesn't matter, because when all is said and done, we perform for ourselves. Theatre is for us something that we were born to do. Look at it. We perform change. Do we change the world? We change ourselves as we go along. Thank you. If I may take another minute, I will read out for you something, makes use of some of these phrases, but tells you also how we work. It's called Written on the Wind. We listen to the winds, to the voices blowing, flowing through streams and streets. We rub our eyes, unblock our ears. When the hot summer breezes curl through our mops of hair and disarrange our neat partings. When red paper kites in frisky hands pirouette through open skies, we bend our necks backwards to see the free, billowing winds. When the one-eyed cyclone tears through our quiet windows, when the thunder and rain beat their gumot on our yearning roofs, we strain to listen to hear the spirits blowing in the wind. Ekashilla kolo, ekashilli koli. We begin in confusion, scratching the earth with reluctant fingers, unable to refuse the pull from the ground, grappling with beginnings and ends, clawing at middles, a haunting image here, a fleeting phrase there, plotting and prodding. We watch one another, praying no strings will snap. We lean on one another, it's a narrow road. We stretch muscle and bone, gaze at Jonathan and his seagulls, calculate the circuits of the stars dancing. We burnish faces and voices to save trees from the axe. We walk in blind trust and explore spaces. We work in classrooms after hours, wondering how the legitimate occupants of the desks in daytime would gape at furniture scrapped in favor of space. A chair morphed into the stuff of adventure, a boat marooned on the beach, or a kitchen where women boil, fry, stir their experiences into dreams, decay, despair, dancing. Yo, Katrina, na, Yochina. An unswept corner evolves into the realm of a pioneer hypnotist. A passageway burns like a harvest of gold. We mix flour with assorted pairs of hands, knead and pound the dough, this way, that way, and that, and debate who should kill the ministers. Theatre is our portion and our offering to those who discern some method in our madness. Watch us at work at your own risk. We step out of masks of sanity, enter new worlds of reality. We try on strange skins, test unfamiliar waters, asking, wanting, grasping, yielding, resisting, becoming, being. We ain't political, sir. But then again, ain't we? Anger, heartache, mystery, joy, nudge us in a heartbeat. Far, zatai ranantu. Will we make it out of the void? Will we fail? Fiddlesticks! It's a hot day, thank God. We wear spectacles of peace. We demand to know who sits behind our eyes. Every time the curtain rises, even if it's a single time, Katore Baji. The last lines are done. The bow, the burst of energy, the beaming, clapping audience. Each time is a crazy, holy time, a leaf in the wind. Have we changed the world? Nah. But then again, maybe, perhaps, we may have been changed. Whatever happens when curtains rise and fall is inaccessible to computing. You see, our name is theatre, a pregnant mustard seed blowing in the breeze that will take root where it will. Our song is written on the wind.